Welcome to ValueVest Daily, where we analyze the best value and momentum investment opportunities. Today, we're diving into a book that can fundamentally change how you approach investing.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever been there? You do all the research, you build this rock-solid thesis, you make what you are absolutely sure is a brilliant investment, only to watch it just crater? It's a punch to the gut, right? It makes you question everything. You see, the problem is we want investing to be like chess, a perfect game of pure skill where the best player wins. But the market isn't a chessboard. It's much more like a poker table. Skill is absolutely crucial, don't get me wrong, but luck always has a seat at the table. So today, we're going to build a whole new mental framework. We'll start with the biggest trap in decision-making. Then we'll learn a secret from a world champion poker player, expose the biases hardwired into our brains, build a practical toolkit, and finally, construct a bulletproof process. Okay, let's dive into this.
First things first, we have to talk about the single most destructive habit we all have when we look back at our decisions. It's this cognitive trap that poker players figured out they had to conquer just to survive.
It's called resulting, and it's basically our brain's laziest shortcut. We judge a decision based only on how it turned out. Stock goes up, genius. Stock goes down, idiot. But here's the scary part. The process that led to both of those outcomes could have been exactly the same. Annie Duke uses the perfect example, that infamous 2015 Super Bowl play call. When the pass was intercepted, it was instantly called the worst decision in sports history. But what if it had been caught? The exact same decision would have been called heroic. The only thing that changed was luck. That is resulting, and it is a poison pill for learning. So who is this Annie Duke, and why should a serious investor listen to a professional poker player? Well, because her experience at the table forged a framework that can literally protect us from ourselves.
See, Duke isn't just any card player. She was on her way to a PhD in cognitive psychology when she took a detour to become a world champion poker player. She spent years in the ultimate laboratory for decision-making under pressure, where bad reasoning meant losing real, cold, hard cash. That background gives her an almost unfair advantage in understanding our mental flaws.
Her core insight is so simple, but it changes everything. Treat every decision as a bet. I mean, think about it. A bet, by its very definition, admits the future is uncertain. It forces us to say, I don't know for sure, but I think the odds are in my favor. When you buy a stock, you aren't stating a fact. You're placing a wager on a probable outcome. Now, before we can effectively place these bets, we have to understand the cognitive programming that's working against us. Our brains are wired with these shortcuts that are just disastrous for long-term investing.
First up is hindsight bias, what I like to call the I knew it all along disease. After the 2008 crash, suddenly everyone saw it coming. When a tech stock goes to the moon, we conveniently remember that we always knew it was a winner. This bias actually rewrites our own history, making us think we're prophets. And if we think an outcome was obvious, we never learn.
And then there's its more dangerous cousin, the self-serving bias. When an investment pays off, it's because of our brilliant analysis, right? But when it fails, it's the Fed's fault, market manipulation, or just plain bad luck. Our ego loves this, but our portfolio absolutely hates it. It makes us double down on bad processes that just got lucky.
So, how do we fight back against our own brains? This is where we move from theory to some practical, powerful tools you can start using today.
First, we have to escape this idea of right and wrong. We need to start thinking in shades of gray, in probabilities. So instead of saying, this stock is a buy, try saying, I'm about 70% confident this company will beat estimates. This tiny shift is revolutionary. It forces you to embrace uncertainty.
Duke's favorite tool for a quick reality check is a simple question. Want to bet? The next time your friend gives you a can't-miss stock tip, or you feel that rush of 100% certainty, just ask yourself that. It instantly shifts your brain from being a cheerleader to an analyst, forcing you to ask, what are the real odds here?
To break free from emotional, short-term thinking, like panic selling into a crash, you have to use this mental time travel trick. Ask these 3 questions. It pulls you out of the immediate panic. The intense fear you feel right now seems a lot less important when you consider the immense regret your 10-year future self might feel.
And this is brilliant. 2 powerful planning techniques. Before you invest, run a premortem. Imagine it's a year from now and the investment has been a total disaster. Write down all the reasons why. This forces you to see the risks clearly. Then, do the opposite. Backcasting. Imagine a huge success and map out exactly what had to go right. It gives you a much more realistic view of what could happen.
Okay, using these tools is a great start, but it's not enough. To win in the long run, you have to stop making one-off decisions and start building a repeatable, bulletproof system.
The most powerful way to do this is to build what Duke calls a truth-seeking pod. We all have blind spots. We all have egos. A small group of smart people you trust, whose only goal is to find the objective truth, not to make you feel good, is your ultimate weapon. Their job is to rip your ideas apart before the market does it for them. So let's pull all this together into an actionable plan. It starts with 3 mindset shifts. First, judge your process, not your profit and loss. Second, think in probabilities, not absolutes. And third, use base rates. Don't just fall for a good story. Ask, historically, how often has a setup like this actually worked out?
And then this mindset is supported by concrete tools. First, a decision journal. Write down your thesis and your confidence level before you invest. It's your ultimate weapon against hindsight bias. Second, use premortems to define your selling criteria in advance. And third, build that truth-seeking pod to challenge every single assumption you have.
So here's a checklist inspired by the book that you can use before any investment. Let's walk through it. First, have I quantified my confidence level as a percentage and checked the historical base rate? Second, what new information would prove my thesis wrong? And third, has at least one person in my truth-seeking pod looked this over?
And the checklist keeps going. Is my position size actually proportional to my stated confidence level? Have I written down my specific exit criteria? And most importantly, am I confusing a good outcome with a good process?
In the end, it all comes down to this one question. The market will always be uncertain. Luck will always play a role. The only thing you can truly control over the long run is the quality of your decision-making process. Focus on that, and the results will take care of themselves.
Of course, none of this constitutes financial advice. It's a set of mental tools to help you build a better process for the decisions you make for yourself.
Please subscribe, like, and share Value Vest Daily for daily learning opportunities before you put your money to work. And one more thing, please put in a comment if you want us to deep dive into any specific high-risk/reward opportunities.